My guest today is Benjamin William Hastings. Let's delve into the creative mind that is Benjamin. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat today, Benjamin.
No, of course. Thanks so much for making time.
Now, we were just chatting beforehand. You originally hail from Belfast in Ireland, and
Yeah.
now look at you. You're traveling the world. Whereabouts are you at the
Yeah.
moment?
I'm in LA at the
In
minute.
LA.
In
Because you've
LA.
recently been
Yeah.
on tour. Are you still on that tour, or
No, so I just finished up with Brandon. Somewhere in the back half of the year, early next year, I'll do like my first headline sort of thing myself. So it's all very exciting. It's been very there's been a lot happening.
you're used to being the support act, and here you
Yeah.
are about to arrange your very first headline. Tell me about that. That's exciting.
Yeah. So I trialed something on the last tour where I did it all just me, but it was like this combination of like acoustic and looping, and I had like banjo, and I had like it almost got like EDM for a second. Like it was kind of this weird fusion of all of this stuff. And so I think when I do the headline, I might try something like that. So as opposed to I'll do as much of it I can musically myself, and then bring people to help with the stuff that I definitely can't do, like lighting and and sound it, etc., etc. It'd be really fun getting to experiment, getting to build a whole sort of like experience from scratch.
You can shape it any
Exactly.
way you like. That's very exciting. I want to
Yeah.
talk about how big this song, That's the Thing About Praise, has been. That's the Thing About Praise, beautiful
Yeah.
song. And I can see why, honestly, why this is connecting with so many people. Why do you think this song has done as well as it has?
For me, the song, it's just like it's got like 25 songs, and it talks about all of these different things. Like it goes through a plethora. And one of the main ones is kind of wrestling with God and faith and doubt. I wanted a song at the end of all of that that kind of summarized where I landed or where I was landing, but through like a lens of positivity and optimism. That I like about this as the resolve is that it's not really a resolve. The resolve is like it isn't like everything's good now and life's great and God just does whatever you want him to do. The resolve is, oh no, I'm gonna get through this. And it's probably my favorite line in it, which is most days faith is climbing up a mountain that stayed. And I think that for me was kind of where I landed with a lot of the record. It was like, you know, God doesn't always move the mountain when you ask him to, but he does promise to be the shepherd that's going to get you to the other side. I can actually take comfort in the fact that just because something doesn't go my way, it doesn't mean you're not with me. It actually just you're God, and I got to be okay with the fact that you're God.
Is, for me, a praise song growing up in church was real light and bright. And when you kind of wrestle with it a little bit and you
Yeah,
tackle, what is it? What is so powerful about praise? It's a very deep conversation, and somehow you've managed to really beautifully present that idea of wrestling with where we are versus where we'd like to be. Let's talk about your new music, though. History, or is it his story?
yeah,
Both.
yeah. That was a really fun one. I did that with so it's Judah, and we've worked together a little bit, and he featured on one of the songs on my record, "Feels Like a Blessing." I jumped on this one with him, and that was kind of like it's tries its best to kind of go through the story of God, like the idea of the history and how he is just that kind of his intentionality is woven through all of it. And I mean, and Judah being Judah, he brought so much sort of unique musical character to the whole thing and a great performance. Like even at the end, there's like a fake ending and like and all of these kind of things that you don't really get in worship music normally. We've been friends for a lot. We've been friends for a longer time than what we've worked together.
Obviously, you've got the tour coming up. You've got lots of music happening at the moment. I also know that outside of the music world, you're a father, parent.
Yeah,
So how has, because parenthood shapes us and changes us in different ways. How have you
yeah.
found that you've changed personally because of being a dad, and how does that kind of come into your music as well?
Oh, completely. I mean, yeah, it kind of changes everything, doesn't it? Definitely made me a lot softer. I think I hadn't cried in about 10 years until we had our daughter, and then now I'm like a mess. It doesn't take
Mhm.
anything to like set me off. And it's just so amazing, rewarding. I mean, frustrating. It's all the things, isn't it? It's like but so worth it and such a joy to get to kind of like help bring up these amazing little humans. My daughter's 7, my son's 3, and so they're different stages, but both just kind of like crushing it. So it's really cool to see, and I think it is. It's probably the hardest part. I wrote a couple songs about this, and well, one song about this on the record, where it's like probably the hardest part of what I do is how much time I have to spend away from them, and kind of like being on the road. And the hardest bit is these aspects of their life that you kind of you're seeing over FaceTime, or and when I'm home, it does make me appreciate it in a whole new way.
Like, I often ask the questions of artists that I chat with about how they juggle parenthood and touring and recording and all that kind of thing. And it's a really unique struggle for every single one. Like, it's a
Yeah,
hard juggle. Yeah.
it really is. And I think I've got a so the song I was talking about, it's called While I'm in the Wind. And it's based on the line in there's a line in So Will I that says, if the wind goes where you send it, so will I. It always felt like the hardest line to sing. That line always felt the most like worship, in the sense that it really costs something to kind of
Mm.
to sing it. Because if I'm singing it, it means I'm like, very rarely are we doing stuff in home cities. It's like 9 times, not even 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, you're somewhere else. Like ours, it's me grappling with all of these kind of things. I really don't know what the right way is to do it, but I think wrestling with it is probably the best place to start, and trying to find whatever it is that works for you. And I don't feel like I've always gotten it right, or that I'm even necessarily getting it right, not right now, but I am trying to get better at planning and foreseeing, the way that because it's what's crazy in music is that everything kind of happens pretty last minute. All kind of ends up spiraling and crashing. So making sure I'm around as much as humanly possible.
Mm. Well, I appreciate you just being as honest as you have been about that, and I feel
Mm,
like that's really reflected in a lot of your music, well, all of your music. You seem to
yeah,
me to be an incredibly open and vulnerable artist, so I really appreciate that, and I know that a lot of people do as well.
yeah,
Hey, thank you
awesome.
once again for making time, and yeah, it's been a pleasure having a chat. Thank you.